Hello, and welcome to another episode of Two Chicks, One Show, where we recap and review one currently airing show, an episode a week as it airs. My name is Trisha Ennis. She is Kate Calabro. We are your two chicks. This week's one show, for the last time for its second season anyway, is Outlander Season 2, Episode 13, Dragonfly in Amber.
Yes, and there was a dragonfly in Amber in this episode. Full circle, kind of, from mid-season one, when she got the dragonfly in Amber. I don't know. Anyway, so this was our big 90-minute finale, wrapping up season 2 as well as book 2 for Outlander fans. And we pretty much get everything we've kind of ever wanted in an episode. We get 60s Claire, which was fabulous, and she looked great with her very volumized bob with just slight gray in it to show that she has aged.
That wig bothered me.
Was it a wig, or do you think they just
It was a
spray
wig.
painted her hair?
It was a wig.
The format
I
of
hope
that,
it was a wig because it
yeah.
bothered me.
So we get to finally meet Brianna and Roger in the 60s as we get kind of super fast cutting between 1968 and
1748.
1748.
1746, sorry.
Of Claire leaving Jamie behind in Scotland before he goes off to the battlefield, and then in Claire returning to Scotland after Frank's death, and kind of introducing her daughter Brianna to her heritage.
Reluctantly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Brianna is.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Brianna is definitely Claire's daughter,
and definitely Jamie's daughter too.
Yeah, I think a little bit more. Yeah,
a little bit more Claire because she was raised.
Personality-wise,
yeah. Personality-wise, yeah, the nurture over nature parts of her.
Yeah.
I liked the structure of this episode a lot. I was a little worried going in that it would be really heavily weighted because I knew when they said it was going to be 90 minutes, I was like, okay, so are we going to get like an hour of the whole build-up and then the last 30 minutes are going to be all the stuff in the 60s? But the fact that they intercut everything was absolutely perfect.
And it was actually, we got way more 60s stuff than I think we did pre-battle in the end.
Yeah, I think that's possible. And I was actually glad because I really liked that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did a really good job with it. I loved Roger. I love him in the book. And he was just adorably played out on screen, and I wish we had more. I just want a whole series of just him and Brianna roaming around Scotland.
Yeah, and like going to places. Yeah. He's so cute. He's like, I mean, Myrta is always going to be my number one, but because we didn't see the freaking battle and there was like that plaque of fallen Fraser, like, did Myrta live? Do you know?
I do know.
Does he live? Like, I mean, even when we try, like,
I don't know what they're gonna play out on screen next season.
He dies, right? He like protects Jamie because he said he's gonna fight for him and alongside him, and he'll die next to him, and like he'll probably like take a knife in the eye or like in the heart for Jamie.
One or the other.
Yeah. Or both.
I know what happens, and you find out stuff in the next book about Myrta.
He's gonna die.
Well, I mean, he has to die eventually. Everybody dies.
But I mean, like, he might be still alive 20 years later.
But I don't know what maybe they'll change something, because, like, Rupert's dead in the book, and he's alive in the show.
Yeah, but is Angus alive in the book, and Rupert's
Angus
dead?
doesn't exist in the book, from what I remember. Or if he does, he only exists in the first one. He's not in the second one.
Does Dougal die in both?
Yeah, Dougal dies exactly as it was in the show. It's almost word for word. A lot of the argument is very similar.
I'm still a little confused why they both had to kill him. Like, I get it, but
they actually the both of them killing him part I don't think is in the book. I don't remember that being part of the death scene.
Okay.
But everything else is the same, except that the person who walks in, obviously not Rupert, because Rupert is dead in the book. It's Willie. Oh,
Willie! But he's married.
Yeah, but he's married, which is so sad. And in America, in the show, so lots of different jumbly things that don't ultimately matter. But so I don't know. They could change things in the third season, so I don't know what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
I just know what happens in the third book.
Yeah,
So,
like we probably have like a whole year until.
yeah, probably.
Well, maybe I don't know, maybe not.
Until the third season.
But then I think
Because Murta's been really popular, so they could,
I know.
write him in. They could easily write him
But
in.
like, what I want to know, and people that actually watch this in the comments, like, as much as I don't want to see Murta die, now that we have like Roger, it's like maybe we Murta fans can just transition into Roger fans because I feel like that's something that could happen for me. Though
Maybe.
Murta, Murta. I mean, even in this episode when he gave that speech to Jamie, you're just like, you are such a fucking good guy.
He is.
You're
And
such a good guy.
but there's so much of that story that has to end with the end of this part of the story. Like,
Yeah.
so many people die because, and there's that 20-year jump
Mm-hmm.
that, so much of that story, it's a transition to, okay, new people, all new stuff for the next.
Because like, hello, online media, and we are online media. No one really cares about people that haven't read the books for this series because even in posts prior to the finale airing, like on tvline.com and like just other websites that I've seen, like they give a lot of way about what's coming. And like I had no clue.
I haven't read anything, so like I know a lot of what's coming because I know a lot of what happens in the books, even though I haven't actually sat down and read Voyager yet.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Did you finish this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I've got Dragonfly and Amber
Done.
behind me. It took forever because I was just so bored. Just so much of that book I felt like didn't need to be on the page, but I thought they did a really good job with this season. So I'm like interested in the next chapter of the story because I think the story is interesting. I don't love the books necessarily, but I haven't read any of the stuff that they've been talking about with like what's to come in season 3.
Yeah.
But I think the show has sort of proven at this point that a lot of people have been spoiler proof. I wouldn't say it's spoiler proof necessarily, in that even though you spoil things for the show, like the show spoiled this entire season in the first episode.
Yeah, but
by showing you, exactly how the book did, not exactly how the book did, but similar to how the book did with showing you that the season's going to end with Claire going back to the future. You didn't care because we were still invested all season in this fight to stop the rebellion, even though she goes back to the future and nothing's different.
Yeah. True.
So while I don't think the show is necessarily spoiler proof, I do think it's sort of proof of what I think both of us have been saying all along, which is that the ending is not what we care about, it's how well you do the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I think this show really proves that you can do the middle really well.
I think the past 4 episodes have really just been some strong episodes. Because there were a couple in the middle that were just like, eh. But then they like really picked up steam the past several episodes.
Yeah, specifically when we first started the rebellion.
Those 2 episodes were very slow.
Yeah, they could have been one episode.
Yeah, and we talked about that
extensively. We did. Those are the ones where we're kind of like, I'm bored.
Yeah, but this finale, I was not bored at all. And at one point, I was like, how are they going to wrap it up?
Yeah, no, the finale was really well paced. I thought they did a really good job. So we probably can't jump back and forth as much as the show did because they just did a lot of back and forth, and they did a really good job jumping back and forth and not losing you, which is something that I took note of. Like, it's something that TV and movies can do that books could never do, jump in and out of time like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like at that pace, because you would get lost. You'd get confused as to what time you're in, who's talking, especially if it's the same character, time traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
You'd get so confused. So it's something they're able to do in a visual medium that I think they really took advantage of in this episode. So we start in 1968, which I was like, ooh. Fancy.
Because we've been talking all season that like we thought it was going to be battle, like a classic structure where it was like, okay, here's what happened in Scotland. She goes through the rocks and then we see what happens there. Instead, they like really shocked us with going right into the 60s and doing this fast cutting between, well, not fast cutting, but this cutting between the two sequences.
Yeah,
So
and
like
immediately, like I sat up.
Yeah.
Immediately when it started, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm in it. All right, this is good. I like it." So we and they didn't start with Claire and Brianna. They started with Roger.
Yeah.
And they're at Roger's father, his adoptive father, the Reverend's funeral, which Claire and Brianna have attended.
Just so happens that Claire was in London at the time and heard about the funeral and decided.
Yeah, things worked
has
out.
nothing to do with the fact that Frank recently died and now Claire can, spill the beans about everything.
Yeah, in the book, things happen in a little more believable fashion. The Reverend had died several months previous, and Roger was there, like, taking care of things because he was on break from university, and Frank had died several months previous, and they were there to do all of this nonsense with, Claire telling Brianna about Jamie, and she had come to talk to Roger about, can you look up all of these Fraser people for me and tell me if they died at Culloden? I want to know who lived, who died, where they went.
Yeah.
And he actually comes back to her in the book. He comes back to her and he says, well, I found in all of my research, I found this one name, their leader, James Fraser. You didn't put him on the list. And she's like, well, that's because I know he died.
I don't know why she just assumed he died. Like, I never understood that.
I think because he was so dead set
on dying.
Well, he was so dead set on dying. Yeah. At the end of the book, he decides he's going to die at Culloden. Yeah. He is going to die, and if he doesn't die at Culloden because he's an officer in the rebellion, they're going to lose, and he's going to be put to death.
And he killed Dougal.
And he killed Dougal.
His
own people are going to put him to death. So, like, he's going to die, like, 4 different ways. But he's Jamie, so of course he is.
He's, like, unkillable. So.
He's basically immortal. Whatever. Anyway, so they jumble it up a little bit and make it a little more, like, coincidental.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying, but I guess it meant they had to explain less in dialogue.
Yeah, but then that makes me think, like, when would she have told Brianna if this whole, like, situation didn't happen?
What do you mean?
Like, if she didn't happen to be in London, the Reverend found out the Reverend was killed, they go up to Scotland, and then, like, through her starting to dig and then Brianna starting to dig with Roger, like, when was Claire going to tell Brianna that, like, she time traveled and Jamie's her dad?
I would assume that she would have made a different excuse to go up to Inverness, and, like, she would have done what they did in the book, but in the book it's less contrived. It's just, we're going here. Your father and I visited here on our, like, second honeymoon. We're going to walk around and find out some stuff. You're going to hang out with this guy I knew when he was a child, and I'm going to go do some other stuff. No.
Yeah.
But that whole section is all told from Roger's perspective, too, which is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I really like Roger. I also thought, I think it's going to take me a little bit to, like, warm up to Brianna, because she is kind of, is it Brianna or Brianna? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
She calls her Brie. I could just say Brie.
You could just say Brie.
I just feel like she's very like Claire at the beginning of the series, where you're just like, shut up, like, you just want to shake her.
Or she just says stuff and you're like, please listen to other humans.
Like, just like, there's other people in the room. Like,
yes.
Take a survey before you start saying things. I'm like, even like when she like would get in an argument with Claire, you're just like, oh, it's like you're arguing with yourself. Like, it's like, what's the point? But what was kind of annoying was how she kept calling Frank daddy. And I'm just like, you're a grown-ass woman. Stop. Like, stop.
Yeah.
It was annoying.
Yeah, I don't like it when grown people say daddy.
Yeah. It's just weird. You're not a little girl. Stop it.
Yeah.
I guess there's like, you can tell, and I thought this is great, between Claire and Brianna. There's definitely some tension, because most likely Claire did not love Frank the way she used to after. That's what I got.
That's another thing that you find out later, that like their relationship post return of Claire was not happy.
Yeah, and you can tell that it affected Brianna, and that she always had like a suspicion of her mother never loving her father and like all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm kind of happy we're bypassing all of that awkwardness.
I'm wondering if it's going to come back in the third season or not.
What, like
if they're going to play it out? Because I think you learn about. I haven't, like I said, I haven't read the book yet, but I've read a little bit about it, and I think you learn some of what happens as Brianna's growing up. Like you learn about what their relationship was like, and I wonder if we'll see any of that in the third season, or if they'll just bypass that entirely. Because I don't know that it's entirely necessary to the story at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it is, because we're already, like, I'm so focused on what's happening right now in 1968 that I really just don't care.
Right, you don't want to go back to the, you know, the 50s and see what they were doing, and it does change your perspective on their relationship a little bit, but I don't know that it necessarily colors it so much that it's like, you know, it really affects the narrative. It's just I feel bad.
Yeah, I feel like if they were to do that, and like we both said, we don't really know because we haven't read the book yet. Well, I'm not gonna read it. You're gonna read it.
I'm gonna read it because we're gonna continue with this.
Yeah, but discussion. For me, I feel like it'd be like it would kind of be a step back for character development, because then we're gonna see Claire and Frank, and then I think we're just gonna end up feeling bad for Frank, and it's kind of gonna ruin the whole series' epic love story of Claire and Jamie, which is what it's really all about.
You're not going to feel bad for Frank.
Why, Frank is awful?
Yeah.
How do you know?
I read things!
Why, what did Frank do?
Frank has affairs.
But, like, does Claire even care?
Yes and no. She cares, but she doesn't, like, she doesn't love that he's having affairs, but she also isn't in love with him the way that she's in love with Jamie. So she sort of, like, lets him have affairs. She hides it from Brianna.
But that's probably like another mother-daughter fight thing. Like, you love your father so much, but the whole entire time he was cheating on me. Wow, like, you know, like a typical soap opera kind of thing.
So like she and Frank have fight. Like I've read things like unintentionally, but I read things about like her and Frank having fights about like, so which affair is it this time? And he has like 6 affairs over 10 years or something.
Jesus Christ! I mean, Frank is the perfect guy to have an affair with, because he can't get you pregnant and he can't have bastard children. When you think about it.
Oh,
one less thing to worry about,
I guess. Anyway, so in the 1960s, Roger and Brianna like take to each other quite quickly, and they go off and have adventures.
Almost automatically. Like, he sees her and is like, oh my god.
I think they did their best casting Brianna. I didn't love the casting. I didn't hate the casting. I mean, they just found a redhead who was pretty and looked enough like both of them that, you know, she was fine. In the book, she's described as looking a lot like Jamie and being like 6 feet tall.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I don't know what she was described like in the book, obviously.
That's basically it. 6 feet tall, redhead, looks a lot like Jamie.
I know it was like, there was a lot of controversy about it. People complained.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't really think it can. I mean, if I had to be nitpicky, just because I'm annoying like that, like, scientifically speaking, she should have blue eyes. And I know people were like,
does Claire have blue eyes?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
She has blue eyes, so that means
yeah, she should have blue eyes.
Genetically speaking, she should have blue eyes. And I know like people were like complaining about that, but you could get the actress blue contacts. Like, I mean,
they don't always look right.
You should have tried it, because it's just like something where you're just like, something like little like that just annoys me sometimes.
I never noticed. I was stuck on, wow, she's not tall enough, but but I didn't, at the end of the day, I didn't really care that much. Like, it was fine. Like, I don't care that much. I'm not super attached to her character. The whole time I was just thinking, oh, Roger.
I also love how they had to in the actual episode, they were like, "Oh, I'm from Boston, but I don't have a Boston accent," so people wouldn't freak out about that too. Like, they literally,
People from Boston don't all have that accent.
yeah. It's also a very ugly accent.
It is, and it's so hard to do if you don't
Yeah.
already have it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have a Boston accent, don't pretend you have a Boston accent. You can't do it.
'Cause
If
you
you
just
think you do,
sound
you can't
like
do it.
an absolute asshole when you try to do a Boston accent and you've never even like been to Boston.
You can't do it. If you try, you can't do it. You can't.
So
Just you can't. Don't try. You can't. And also, no. Because there's no way that, like, she wouldn't have a Boston accent. There's no way that Claire and Frank raised her in Southie where she would have that accent. So, no. No. I'm so glad they didn't.
she's also an English actress.
Yes, I'm so glad.
And it's like her first major role. I mean,
So, like, she had a decent American accent for that. She slipped a few times, but
it happens.
But it happens. It was fine. It wasn't major or anything. It just sounded like a girl who was raised by English parents, so it was fine. So no, I'm so glad they didn't make her do the Boston accent.
Yeah.
So that would have been atrocious. It would just been awful.
Back to the episode.
Back to the show. Okay, and back in the 18th century.
Oh yeah. What happened?
No, okay, so Brianna and Roger in the 1960s are off having adventures, looking around like Wentworth Prison, and
which was interesting.
Having debates about American history and doing some adorable.
Because they're both history nerds.
Because they're both history nerds. And meanwhile, Claire's off walking around, like reliving her past. She visits Lallybrook. She visits Culloden Moor, and she like sees things, and as she goes places she remembers stuff, and that's sort of what's in some ways that's what spurs the jumps back to the 18th century.
Yeah. There was this really great BuzzFeed listicle about about 83 things you thought about while watching the Outlander finale.
Oh god. Okay.
You literally did think of like at one point it was like number 51, did Claire ever buy that vase for the first episode? Which is true. Like sometimes you like when she was walking around Scotland.
Yeah, when she was walking down the street, I was like, oh, that's exactly the same street she walked down in the first episode.
Like it's just like little. There's something else that was like there. It was literally everything you would have thought of.
My thought when she goes over to the case when she's in the museum for Culloden, and she goes over to the case and actually looks in and sees the Dragonfly and Amber, I'm thinking, okay, did someone just find that in the field and hope that it was like something some Scotsman dropped in Culloden? Because it could have literally just been like there.
Yeah, it seems like a weird thing for like them to be like, this was part of the battle,
right? Like 200 years later.
Yeah, it's also, I find it weird like that was her departure like trinket that she gave to Jamie. Like I didn't know it meant so much to her. Like it was never talked about after. It's
mentioned twice in the books.
It was mentioned in the Battle of Pants. What was that one called?
Preston Pans. And was it even mentioned? Like was it itself even mentioned, or did she just say
no?
Like
she said she
and Amber.
She felt like a dragonfly and Amber during battle. She never talked about.
The specific dragonfly and Amber.
No. So that's why I'm like, why was that the thing? Was that the only thing you had in your pocket? Like,
it's her only possession.
Oh, the other thing that was on the list was like, why didn't any of Jenny's grandkids take care of Lallybrook? And even like, and then like later on, like, where the hell are Jenny's great grandkids that they're not taking care of this place?
Why didn't Claire look up the Murrays?
Yeah. Like,
look up the future generations and, like, smack them for not taking care of Lallybrook?
Well, then there was, like, another thing where, I don't know, it might have even been on this list, or another post that was, like, the woman... So during their travels, as Brianna and Roger, like, becoming BFFs and possible lovers, I mean, they aren't going to be lovers, we already know that, and Claire's off doing, like, her, like, you know, farewell or like return
farewell tour,
like her return
reunion tour,
reunion tour of Scotland. She goes to the Battle of Culloden. She visits the museum where they have that awful wax
figure.
figure of Prince Charles, and everyone's saying that he's like a hero. And she's like, no, he's like an asshole.
He literally led all of his people to slaughter, and you're calling him a hero.
And she goes out and she goes to the Fraser Rock, and she has like this like ongoing
monologue.
Yeah, like a little monologue to Jamie. But before that even happened, she goes out there, and there was a woman there who was standing by the Fraser Rock, and she leaves flowers by the rock, and she asks Claire, "Oh, are you a Fraser?" And Claire says, "Yes, I am." So some people are speculating that woman is related to Jenny or Jamie somehow, which actually, because I did read some on the wiki page, I know that's possible. That it could be a direct relative of Jamie.
My thought when I saw that woman was she asked that question. She asked that question. No, that's your thought every time you see it.
Everyone's a time traveler.
My thought when she asked that question was she asked the question, "Oh, are you a Fraser?" Claire says yes, and then she just kind of goes,
"Okay." She didn't wasn't like who you're related to. She's just like, "Oh, cool."
And it's just kind of like she doesn't even say that's nice. She just leaves.
Or she didn't even say like me too.
She just walks away. I'm like, okay, did they give you no other direction? Like, just deliver your line and leave? Like, at least you stayed for the response, but
yeah, I don't know.
Like, there's no reaction.
So then, so during their like Claire's reunion tour of Scotland, and Brianna's like, "Welcome to Scotland" tour. Things that we see throughout the episode, locations, objects, will bring flashes backwards. Backflash? I don't know. To the 18th century. So the battle's going to happen. Claire and Myrta and Jamie figure this out. Jamie has had a transfer of estates legal document written up for Jenny's eldest son to become the Lord of Lollybrook, and so he signs it. He has Claire and Myrta sign it, which later becomes a document that Claire finds in the 60s with her signature on it as Claire Beecham Fraser. Jamie has Fergus go off and bring it to Lollybrook so he's not in the battle, and they both say
he's like a son to him.
Yeah, and they all have a moment, and I like saying, "You're like a son to me." They all say goodbye, they cry. I wish Myrta would have hugged him, or I wish Fergus, like, they did like that nod thing, but Fergus just was like, "Fuck it," and just like ran over and hugged him before he rode off. So Jamie has that great moment with Myrta. He tells Myrta to bring the Fraser men back to Lollybrook. Jamie doesn't want them going to battle. Everyone's going to die. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And basically he told Myrta to stay there. Well, duh. Myrta's like, "No, I'm coming back. I'm going to die with you, blah, blah."
Did you skip over like the biggest thing that happened? Or was I just not paying attention?
I'm getting to it.
No, that happened already.
What?
By the time he signs over all the crap, that happened already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why he does all of this. That's literally the first thing.
Oh, yeah. So before all that happened.
So they're all concerned that Culloden is coming, and the only thing that they have left that they could possibly do to stop the battle, because the only thing that's sending them into battle is Bonnie Prince Charles. Claire, with her ever-ready vial of poison,
always
is like, "We could kill him." And Jamie's like, "Oh, do you think?"
And then poor Dougal was just being like a gossip queen and overheard and like freaked out.
He like comes out of the shadows.
Like, "Excuse me,
Scottish ninja,
you traitor!" And all this.
Don't do that. Never do that.
I don't know what that was. It wasn't even supposed to be a Scottish accent.
Don't do it again.
He did call them traitors, though.
He did call them traitors, and
I think
the whore and the slut and a lot of other.
He called Claire a lot of stuff,
like witch and
like it was like a rant name. It was like witch, whore, slut, blah, blah.
It was a really long hyphenate.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people that have read the books are not huge Dougal fans because
he's a bastard.
He's an asshole in the books.
Bastard.
And I mean, he's not necessarily like peaches and cream in the TV series, but I think they have given him more redeeming qualities. And I think in this moment, and it might just be me because I like to search for the good in people instead of just being like they're an asshole, except for Blackjack. But then I did a couple episodes ago was like, oh, he really does love his brother, but
at least he said he wouldn't rape her.
yeah,
That was like the whole thing last episode.
um, but
They have done a good job with like expanding Dougal's character in the show and making him more likable. They've softened his character at
yeah,
points. Um, they've made him less horrible and less edgy. They've given him more scenes. They've, especially in the last few episodes, they've given Graham McTavish a lot of scenes where like Dougal has emotions. Like Dougal's cried.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for this specific scene prior to him being stabbed to death, he, a lot of people, and I don't know if this is what it was like in the book, and I mean a lot of people, I mainly mean Claire literally accuses him, as well as Jamie, as only wanting to be part of the rebellion to better, you know, to better represent himself. It's a very selfish reason for wanting to be in the rebellion. And I think within the final moments of his existence in Outlander, it kind of proved that it wasn't always just about, I mean, it was largely about what it was going to do for Dougal, but he also had a great pride in being part of the Scottish rebellion and having hope for the Scottish people and hope
and
that
being Scottish.
And you see that because he is so passionate about the fact that these two people that are technically like his kin are like getting ready to murder his prince, and he's ready to kill both of them so that won't happen. Because it's because there is a fanatical aspect to Dougal. He is a fanatic when it comes to the liberation of Scotland. And I think a lot of people overlook that, but there is a certain level of respect I think you should have for that.
Well,
that I always did.
As much as you might hate Dougal or love Dougal, however you feel about Dougal, you can't really argue with his reaction to what they're saying because he's hearing it out of the context that we are.
Yeah.
Like he has no idea that what they're saying is we need to kill him because if we don't, this battle kills literally everybody.
Yeah.
All he's hearing is we need to kill this guy to stop the rebellion, and he's like, fuck no, the rebellion is what's going to save us. Whereas they're like, I know the future. So if Dougal had like been in on this from the beginning, like maybe it would have played out differently. He probably wouldn't have believed him.
I don't know if it would. Like I don't even know if I think Dougal would go into battle thinking that no matter what, he could change it personally himself once he's on the field.
I don't disagree with that. Like I do think that if they had told Dougal that like Claire knows the future, this is what happens, he would have said, I can fix that.
Yeah.
And he would have blundered in and thought, I can change that. Speaking
which
of which,
is exactly why Gillies or Gillies.
Gayless.
How do I always say Gillies?
You always say Gillies.
I always say Gillies. Galis.
It's been 2 years.
Galis is attracted to Dougal. It's why their relationship works. It's why she marries who she marries, and then, takes his money and gives it to the rebellion. She believes that they're kind of like the same person. And in a way, when you think about it, they are very similar. They're both radicals.
Yeah.
And they both have one goal, which is to get Scotland's independence.
Speaking of which, meanwhile, back in 1968, as Roger and Brianna are roaming about, we come upon a very shouty young woman.
As soon as you heard her voice, you knew.
Right? You knew who it was.
Yeah.
Screaming about how Scotland, used to have principles, essentially, and lost them when they surrendered to the English crown, and we should go back and, we should fix that, and Scotland should be its own country, and blah 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 blah. And then we part the sea of people, and it's Galis Duncan.
Yeah, but that's not her name.
But that's not her name. Her name is, what was her name again?
Gillian
something.
Gillian Anderson. I'm just kidding.
Gillian Edgars?
Yeah.
Gillian Edgars. I think.
It started with an A.
Yeah. And she is actually kind of interesting. She's political. She's preaching to the people about Scottish independence back in the 60s. We recently had a Scottish independence referendum that failed. There
Yeah, but
might be a
it's
new one.
quite possible that there will be a new one after Brexit and
Brexit.
Brexit. It's Brexit, whatever, Brexit.
Brexit.
Which was fucking stupid.
Yeah, but they're probably going to redo that anyway. Anyway, getting out of British politics and into fake British politics, or real fake British politics. Anyway,
Past
so
past Scottish politics.
whatever. So yes, they meet her, and we sort of like see. Oh, so this is Gayless Duncan before she was Gayless Duncan, before she went back in time.
But I mean,
This is going to
Roger and Bree have no idea who she is, and it's so ironic because we know now as viewers because previously to them meeting her, right? They have the conversation, or was it after?
It's after. It's near the end of the episode. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
So much happening.
also in 1968, while Roger and Brianna are talking to not Gayless, but Gayless, Claire has made her way over to like the Hall of Records, and she's been trying to get information, and she actually gets that piece of paper that Kate was talking about before. That was the deed of sale or whatever it was to Lallybrook. And she sees it, and it's like, she gets a copy, and then she asks the woman, can she trace a genealogy? And earlier in the episode, we find out Roger says that his original name was Roger Mackenzie.
Yeah.
But it was changed when he was adopted by the Reverend. So
what's his last name now?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember what the Reverend's last name was. So,
but for some odd reason, I thought that Roger was the Reverend's brother's son. So wouldn't they have the same last name? But maybe I'm just getting that confused. Because I thought when he talked to Frank.
I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever.
But I know that he says like his name used to be Mackenzie, and so that sparked something in Claire, different in the book, but still. And so she says, can you check a genealogy for me? And the woman says, yeah, of course. What's the name? And she says, Roger, blah, 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 Mackenzie. And so traces the genealogy, and we'll get back to that later.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the 18th century, you can go back to your original tirade.
Yeah. Which was, so
Rupert interrupts the death of...
Rupert interrupts the death with his patch. Well, no, the death already happened.
Yes.
And then he comes in, and Claire and Jamie... It was odd. Wasn't it odd? Or was it just me? It was like, I don't know. Dougal starts fighting Jamie. There's a dagger involved. It ends up Jamie, of course, wins. Hello. No offense, Dougal, but you are a little old. And he's holding the dagger and he's shaking. And like, did Claire come over to help because Jamie wouldn't do it? And like, she was like, stepping up to the plate. Like I felt like it was very odd. But in the end, Jamie and Claire kill Dougal, and they were just like, ah. And then like as they have the shock face, in comes one eye Rupert. It was like, what the fuck? Like, what's wrong with you guys? And basically he gives Jamie 2 hours to like get his affairs in order, and then he's gonna kill him.
Basically, yeah.
Basically like something like that.
Because you killed my chief, and I'm like, Jamie is your chief.
Yeah, technically you guys are like one now. That's when they go out, the deed, Rupert, Angus, oh my god, Fergus goes off to Lallybrook.
Too many Gusses.
Too many. Jamie has the men go back. Murta gives his big speech about how he's going to come back, and he's going to fight with him, and he's going to be beside him, and he's going to die next to him. And this is when Jamie kind of like calls Claire's bluff and was like, listen, shit's about to go down. I'm about to die. This battle is happening. So it's time for me to take you back to the Stones. I did not realize they were that close to the Stones, but okay.
Well, they're right there. Like everything is right there.
Yeah, apparently everything is happening in one spot.
Because they're Inverness, Stones, Culloden. It's like a triangle.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle.
And also, it's not really 2 hours. It's like a lot more than 2 hours.
Yeah, because I mean,
they spell it out in the book. Like in the book, he actually only asks for 1 hour, and then it's like many hours later.
maybe last
Jamie's just like, fuck off.
I think he was probably like, "You're probably gonna die, Patchy, so I'm not worried about it." Because yeah, like the battle is literally going on like as Jamie is
like
having
cannon
sex.
fire starts.
Yeah, like as Jamie and Claire are having
But
sex.
before we get to the stones, because all the stone drama needs to happen at the same time.
Yes.
So flash forward back to the 1960s, and Claire finally decides. Well, Claire doesn't decide. Bree forces her hand. She
because
and Roger.
This is what is happening with Bree. She is having some. She always had a feeling that something happened between her parents. Because clearly there was a loveless marriage going on.
Kind of a loveless marriage.
Kind of, they just didn't.
They had an incident,
yeah.
she calls
so
it.
she knew there was an incident that happened in Scotland, and she's trying, now that they have this time here, to get to the bottom of it. And I think she's intrigued by Roger, but she's also like half using Roger to like get his information until she starts to like.
And
really
Roger's aware and totally fine with it.
Yeah, totally fine with it. And I mean, no one has. This is another thing that was in that BuzzFeed list, was like, how can a man look so good in like a bulky turtleneck sweater?
Yeah, no, I've been kind of like not surreptitiously reading that while you've been talking.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. It's actually, hold on. It says, we're just back in an attic in 1968 now. We're just moving on. Fine. But only because Roger somehow looks really hot in this chunky gray turtle.
But it's so true. And like his hairstyle, even his hairstyle is like kind of dorky, but you're just.
And then he sings to rats, and it's just fine.
That was weird.
That scene, right out of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So.
That was when I fell in love with Roger.
It was pretty cute. Roger's like, well, my father kept journals, so they start going through his father's journal, and then they start finding press clippings of the picture that cracked me up in the first episode when like the guy comes into the hospital and Claire's like, oh,
yeah.
So, and then,
like the least flattering picture ever.
And it says stuff about
Bree's like, wait, she was missing for 3 years.
For 3 years. She was taken by fairies, was in the news article. She also, Bree uses her, brilliant mind to do the math and realize that she's actually not Frank's kid, because it just couldn't be possible. Because when she did return, Claire would have been 3 months pregnant. We're also completely, should we wait till we get to the stones to talk about the Jamie keeping a calendar?
Oh, yeah, let's wait till we get to the stones to figure out to do that. Because I was like, wait, seriously?
My dad thought that was romantic. I was like, that's
Claire did too, and I was just kind of like, that's creepy. Also, how does he notice? All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue.
I guess when you're
Continue.
not that sanitary. Anyway, let's not try to talk about nipple piercings or poops or anything since we've already done enough.
Anyway, so Bree finds newspaper clippings that prove that she is not Frank's daughter. So she like storms up to Claire and she's like, we need to talk about my real father. Is that who you were with?
Yeah, and Claire's like, what? And then poor Roger, this whole entire time,
he's just kind of like,
I've let these crazy ass women stay in my house just out of the goodness of my own heart and because I'm somewhat attracted to the daughter. Even though, no, never mind.
What I do to get laid?
Yeah, and like now he's like forced into like their Jerry Springer like drama, like Maury, you are the father, like kind of like things like that, and just like, oh my god. So much like how Claire explained everything to Frank when she first came back, she also explains everything to Brianna and Roger, because Brianna wouldn't let Roger just go back to his library to be left alone by your craziness. But I think he was intrigued because I think Roger kind of knew. I know in the books he figured it out before anyone else, but
well, he figured out parts of it. Like he figures out that Bree isn't Frank's daughter, like because he's the one who finds the newspaper clippings and then he hides them from her because he's like, oh crap, I should probably.
Well, wasn't it like he wasn't gonna show her, and then he did?
Yeah, well, he wasn't gonna say anything unless because Claire, he said something to Claire, and Claire is like, I'm trying to figure out how to tell my daughter. Yeah. Because she spends a lot of time. She meant to tell Brianna like immediately, and then she can't find the right way to bring it up, and then finally she just has to tell her because she finds Jamie's grave and like flips out, and then she's finally like, okay, I gotta tell you something. That's your dad. He's kind of dead
for a long time,
for a while now.
So Claire does explain everything to Brianna and Roger, and Brianna's just like, you are fucking nuts. Pretty much.
Which, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, like if your mom sat you down and was like, actually,
So,
I traveled through rocks.
your father is from the 18th century.
Yeah.
I traveled there through a stone.
Yeah. Like, what are you smoking? And let me get some.
Yeah, can I have some?
So that happens. And then
The rest of
during
the
that
stuff in
time,
the 60s is a lot of back and forth of like, she's nuts, we shouldn't talk to her, and Roger being like, well, maybe she's nuts, but maybe you should talk to her.
like Roger, like I think Roger really wants to believe it. Like I think he's like, this would be awesome.
I think Roger kind of wants to believe it. I think he also feels a little sympathetic for this whole thing where like Brianna, like he likes Brianna and he wants her. Like he sees that she's in pain and he wants her to feel better, and he's like, well, just talk to your mom. Like obviously this is something that's a
It's also
problem.
like hashtag orphan problems because like Roger doesn't have a family, so he's like, I don't want to watch other people's family break up.
And there's also like the way that Claire talks about Jamie, it's obvious that like she actually did care about him, and she's not trying to tell Brianna this to hurt her. She's trying to tell her because she wants her to know who her father was. So like she's not being malicious about it. She's just saying something that's ridiculous and
Yeah.
could not be true.
I
And
also think it was great that like Claire did that little speech where she's like, Frank was the man that raised you. He's always going to be the man that raised you, but like Jamie is your biological father. Like she's not disregarding Frank as being an important person within Brianna's life.
She's not disregarding Frank's role.
Yeah.
But she's like, but this is also important. Like, I need you to understand this part of my life and this part of where you came from.
Yeah. And like, she actually was a product of love because like Brianna asks, like, did you ever love my father? And at one point, Claire did love Frank until she met Jamie.
Yeah, like at this point.
I lost your audio.
Especially at this, did you completely lose my audio? Okay. Especially at this point, since Bree kind of forces her hand with the, so who is my real father thing, Claire kind of has to tell her about Jamie, and now she also wants to make sure that she knows that, like, Jamie wasn't some dude that kidnapped her and held her against her will. Like, she's not the product of rape. She's not the product of torture, she's not the product of an affair. She's a product of a relationship that she would still be in had this ridiculous thing not happened. It's just really difficult to explain.
This ridiculous thing is a mild way of putting it.
Yes, it's the only way I could think of. But anyway, so that's a lot of the back and forth of like the rest of the 1960s until Claire sees the pamphlet that they got when they were talking to Jillian. What the hell? And she's like, "Oh my God! Like, did you talk to her? Do you know where she is? Blah blah blah. Back and forth. We need to talk to her. Whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, we saw her at the pub earlier. She said she was going out of town, and she sounded like she wasn't coming back." And Claire realizes that, oh crap, this is the night that she travels back in time. We need to stop her. And then she looks at Roger and she's like, crap.
We can't.
And she's like, I can't stop her.
But I mean, and I don't know, like, I would be like, well, we're not going to stop her, but I'm going to take you guys to these stones so you can see I'm not freaking crazy.
Well, see, I would too, but okay, so this whole scene, so there's this whole back and forth between her and Roger and Bree, and mostly her and Roger, where she says, like, I can't stop her because of you, and she tells him that, she traced his genealogy and she discovered that through whatever, he actually is a 7 times great grandson of Dougal Mackenzie and Galis Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
And that if she stops Galis from going back in time, which she was trying to do to save Galis' life as repayment for Galis saving her life when they were, which I'm just like, but the whole time I'm thinking, Claire, you've literally time traveled twice and you still don't understand how it works?
Yeah, or just like be like, hey, be a little careful. Like to just get,
Well, that's what she eventually decides, like that they're going to go there and they're just going to warn her to be careful.
Yeah.
But even with that, I'm
prior to that, Claire does go and visit Jillian's like estranged husband,
All right.
who informs her that Jillian hasn't been home. She's obsessed with Scotland, Scotland's liberty and being free and all this stuff, and she just has notebooks filled with stuff. And Claire, because the guy is a bit of a drunk, Claire takes the notebooks and realizes that Jillian has been figuring out and studying time travel and believes that a human sacrifice needs to be done for her to travel through the stone.
She's nuts. Because
she's nuts. Yeah. Could literally be psychopath. Like, might be definition.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
There's no character in the series that I am more terrified of than Galis Duncan, and that includes freaking Blackjack Randall, okay?
I don't know about that.
Blackjack is terrifying.
I guess, yeah.
She's unhinged.
Just imagine if they got together and had a kid.
Oh my god. The kid would literally be Satan.
Yeah. That she would be carrying the spawn of Satan.
Carrying the spawn of Satan, or actual Satan.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Oh no, but this whole time Claire's talking about like changing what happens to her, and I'm just like, you just spent 2 years trying.
Yeah, but that was like that was 20 years ago. She doesn't remember.
It was like the biggest thing she ever did in her entire life, and I'm like, and everything you.
I don't know. World War II is pretty big. She is a surgeon now.
No matter what you tried for these 2 years, everything happened how it was originally going to happen, and you can now suddenly affect something.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when the thing you're trying to affect could directly affect your life. Like if you stop Galis from going back in time, you could die.
Yeah, who's gonna save you at the witch trials?
Just so many things, and I'm just like, no. Plus, if you don't send her back in time, then Roger's never born, and who knows how that affects things. And
well, it doesn't matter because it doesn't happen. I know. Like everything else.
The whole time, I was so frustrated. Like I'm so frustrated with Claire's inability to understand time travel in her own home travel story.
So this leads them to being like, well, let's go check it out because at least.
I liked Roger's thing. That where he's like, you're just feeding her delusion, and he's like, maybe I am, and maybe we get there and it's wrong, and then we get to see someone run face first into 5 tons of granite.
But like, I think that was like a defense mechanism because at this point, I think Roger believes.
Yeah, I think Roger believes it, or so now it'll be cool.
Yeah, so I think he's like trying to be like, he doesn't want Bree because he has a crush on Bree to be like to know that he's like full into this. So he's just like, well, I mean, if it doesn't work out, then like it will just like be fun and chill. Like,
I think he's cautiously optimistic about it. He's like, we go, and if it's real, then awesome, and if it's not real, then okay, no harm done.
Yeah, except for that woman's face.
Face, and it'll be fine. So then all the stone drama happens on both sides of the time.
Yeah. So I guess we should talk about the sad part first.
Well, yeah, we can talk about the sad part first, and then we can talk about the crazy part.
Even though this was like, there was 2 sad moments. Well, there's a couple sad moments in the episode. During Claire's monologue, like, talking to the stone that just said Fraser on it, she, like, finally said her goodbye to Jamie Fraser, and that was sad. Yeah, because she couldn't say it at the time. So now that they're back at the stones, we see 18th century stones where Jamie takes Claire back and basically is like, you promise me you'll go back. The battle's happening. I'm going to frickin' die. I need to know that you're okay. This is where he informs her that he knows that she is pregnant because she hasn't had her period in a couple months and he has kept track of it. And apparently,
you've been keeping track during like war?
Yeah, everything else. Because apparently she's very regular.
Not even a day.
Yeah, because that's what he said.
Stress.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And that was supposed to be romantic.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
And then he said something that was kind of cute, where he was like, you have to go back to Frank, and please let him know that I forget the exact words.
I'm grateful, and him, I trust him, and I hate him to his very core, something like that.
Yeah, and Claire, of course, is just like, I can't go, I can't leave you, blah, blah. And then they have sex.
Well, no, and then Jamie has another really adorable thing where he says, like, he, like, thanks God for Claire.
And yeah. He is such, like, This is another annoyingly perfect Jamie Fraser moment where you're just like, I want to punch you in the face.
And then they have sex, and all the while there's like minor artillery going on.
Yeah, you can hear like cannons going off, and like it's like by the time Jamie gets back to the battle, it's gonna be fucking over.
Right, because those battles last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean half the people are dead already. And then Jamie kind of, because Claire is not gonna go.
Not without help.
Yeah, not without help. This isn't like, I don't know if this is like, I know that the buzzing of the rocks was something that we always heard as an audience, but like it was never, I don't remember ever it being acknowledged by Claire that she hears buzzing.
I don't think it ever has either. It was, this episode is when the buzzing is suddenly like something people are talking about.
Yeah, because when we do flash forward, when they get back to the rocks, both Claire
and
Bree can hear the buzzing. Can Roger hear the buzzing?
I don't know. They don't really say anything.
Yeah.
So, but
this is last plead back in the 18th century. Like, can't you hear the buzzing to Jamie? Why don't you come with me? And Jamie's like, no, I can't. So they do like this twirling dance thing to get her closer to the rocks. And then there's the one very dramatic, solid tear that rolls down Jamie Fraser's face.
Goodbye, and places her hand on the rock.
Yeah. Goodbye, Claire. And then she goes.
Yeah. Now the TV version of the goodbye is very dramatic in that it's very emotional. Mm-hmm. The book version of the goodbye is very dramatic in that there are English soldiers attacking them.
Oh, okay.
And she has to throw herself at the rocks to get away.
See, I do enjoy the TV version a little bit better. I'd rather it be like private and romantic than like that craziness. Like, come on, give us a break.
Ground sex.
Yeah. So then we flash forward to the 60s, and Claire.
And they arrive at the rocks, and the first thing they say is, "What's that smell?" And Roger says, "Barbecue."
Which, I mean, how much barbecue is happening in Scotland?
Well, they do cook meat.
But like a barbecue style?
Well, I don't know a barbecue style, but they do cook.
Yeah. Maybe like smoking meat. I don't know. I'm not a culinary person. And Gilly's, what's her name? Galis. Did I have it right the first time? Galis's car is there, so they know she's there. There's a bonfire kind of thing. As they're walking up, they're like, oh my god, well, she's burning. And then Claire goes, well, she believes that it's a human sacrifice. So then they're like, hey.
Oh my god, this woman kills her husband in the 18th century and then lights her freaking husband on fire in the 20th
but like
century.
Props to her getting the proper garments to wear.
Oh my god. I just can't. This woman is a nutcase.
Yeah, so she burns her husband.
Really
and then like Claire's just like, I just want everyone to like know, like, no one died.
She's like, no, this never happened when I did this.
This wasn't something I did. And so the husband's burning. I think she's doing some kind of chants, but I don't remember. And she goes to run through the stones, and they're like, oh my god. She's going for it. And she goes through them. And they all see it. So now Claire isn't crazy, and they all believe her. Pretty much.
Yeah, and then did you I wasn't really paying attention. Did you say what the ending was?
I don't. I said she went through the rocks. And they said that she wasn't crazy, but I didn't say it when like she looks up and is like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're like, Bree's all like, okay, I believe you. Tell me more about my father. And she like starts to tell her stuff, and she's like, I can't tell you everything, but I won't lie to you anymore. And
yeah.
And then Roger shows back up, and he's like,
oh, that's because Roger went to go get help.
Right. He's like, I called the police anonymously, of course. They'll be here eventually.
Yeah.
There's just a burning body on the ground. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we're just sitting here.
They'll be on up eventually.
Yeah.
And Bree's like, okay, show her what you found. And he's like, well, your late husband, Frank, he asked my father to do some research for him, and I don't know that he ever actually sent it to him. Here's a piece of paper. And she's like, just tell me what it says. Like, I can't be bothered to read. Just say it.
Yeah.
And he's like,
it's had a very trying day.
Blah, 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 lots of stuff. A bunch of Fraser men were captured after they're being wounded at Culloden and were put to death. 4 of the 5 officers were killed. We know who they are because their names are on a stone. There's only one who wasn't. Really long build up to say Jamie Fraser survived Culloden, and Claire's like, oh crap, and she like almost makes a break for the stones.
I know, I really thought she was just gonna run for it.
And
like, peace out, suckers.
If you take a break for the stones, I'm gonna be really pissed off at you because you have no way of knowing A, where you're gonna end up.
Yeah.
And B, if Jamie survived 5 minutes past whenever that happened.
Yeah, and you're like wearing a Burberry raincoat.
And like boots. A really short skirt.
Yeah, a really short skirt and like a scarf over your hair. Like it's just like no.
No. You gotta do some
be prepared.
Do some research.
Yeah. Yeah. So and you don't know what the timeline is.
Please don't drop the bomb of your fathers from the 18th century and then just vamoose.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go see him again. Bye.
Yeah.
So that's how it ends. And well, it ends with her being like,
I have to go back, and I'm like, okay, so apparently we're in Lost now.
Yeah, being like, you have to go back, and then both, I think, Bree and Roger agree that she has to go back, don't they?
They don't say anything. She just says, I have to go back, and that's how it ends.
Oh, I thought they said, yeah, you have to go back, but
no,
I guess not.
She just says, I have to go back, and then it ends. Bree's like just taking this out. Like, yes, mother, please travel in time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that Brianna is going to go with her. And I'm hoping Roger. But do you know? At this point, just tell me, like, what's the big deal?
I'm not entirely positive, but I think I know.
Okay, what do you think?
Tell you on the air. No.
Okay. Well, once we hang up, she's going to tell me.
We've managed to make these mostly spoilers.
I don't think, at this point, I don't think I can do it again. It's a lot of work on my part, and it's just not fair.
Is it a lot of work because you have friends who are trying to spoil you all the time?
Yeah, and it's called the internet, so it's hard.
Anyway, so that's the end of Outlander Season 2. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Season 1.
I liked the first 2 episodes, and then I think I've liked the last 3. Huh?
With the pooping and the nipples.
The pooping and the nipples. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The beginning was really strong and the end was really strong.
I mean, did all my predictions come true?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, except for
fighting over not the fighting over Culloden, the fighting over Clan Mackenzie, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope that we do get to see some Battle of Culloden because we've only been fucking talking about it forever.
My guess is that's how Season 3 will open.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. My one prediction that could still hold out is I'm still waiting for Master Raymond to come back as a time traveler.
Be a time traveler?
Yeah. I still think it could happen. I still believe it. I don't think we would be introduced to him and like literally drop so many freaking hints about like time travel and all that shit if like he doesn't come back.
Okay. Well, then I look forward to Season 3 whenever the heck that happens.
I think they're going to start production soon since they have already been greenlit for a Season 3 and Season 4, so it's not like they're waiting around for Stars to give them the okay.
Yeah.
But because of the article I did read, I know that there's several different locations.
Yes.
So
there are
some logistics that have to be figured out. But
yes.
But yeah.
So let us know what you thought of Season 2 of Outlander, specifically this episode. Favorite parts, least favorite parts, predictions, thoughts about Season 3. Please don't spoil Voyager for us, because neither one of us have read the book, and while I will probably be reading the book before next season, we don't want to spoil everything before next season. Leave your thoughts in the comments below the video, either on YouTube or the website, or wherever you are watching it. Mm-hmm. Or you can tweet it to us. I am at Trisha Ennis. She is at Kate Calabro. The hashtag is hashtag 2chicks1show with the numbers, not the words. We'll see you around. Yeah, and we'll hopefully be picking a new show. Yes, hopefully we'll be picking a new show. We haven't decided what we're going to do yet. There's nothing really on right now because it's summer, but we might hold off until fall for a new show. Maybe Supergirl, maybe something else. We will let you know. Take a look on Twitter to find out. Bye. Bye.